Hello, everybody. This is Faiz Shakir, honored to be campaign manager for Bernie Sanders. Thank you all for taking some time out of your evening to join us. I am going to be joined on this call by the illustrious Senator Nina Turner. Just to give you a bit of an overview of what we're going to do on this call, I'm going to speak for roughly 15 minutes and then turn it over to my wonderful partner and someone who's pouring her heart and soul into this, Senator Turner, who will speak to you for about 10 minutes or so. And I think we'll have you out of here in a half hour or less. So, first of all, I thought it was really important that we communicate with you directly. You are the heart and soul of this campaign. You are pouring your energy and efforts into making sure that Bernie Sanders is the next president of the United States. You deserve a campaign update from us, and so I want to take a few minutes to try to give you as much information as I can so that you know about where we stand as a campaign. First of all, when I took this role, one of the first comments I made was that this campaign, Bernie 2020, was planning to win from the very beginning, that we were building a campaign to win. And I'm proud to report to you that we have and are building that campaign to win, and it is because of the efforts and the contributions that you have given us to put us in a position to succeed. Right now, we have a lot of corporate media who've been trying to deride this campaign, dismiss this campaign, write it off, and suggest that it was all over, writing the obituaries that they were hoping would be the case. And sadly for them, it has not turned out. This movement is strong and growing stronger by the day. Proud to report a very strong Q3 fundraising haul. Thank you to the 1.4 million individual donations that we have received. We raised over $25 million in Q3. I think what we're most proud of is that money means people, and we have more than 1 million donors to this campaign. Incredible. When you think about that 1 million donor mark, it is the highest number, the largest number of any presidential campaign in history. Just think about that. And of course, we are a grassroots funded campaign, and 99.9% of those individual donors to this campaign can give again because they have not maxed out. I'm sad to report to you that we do not have a single billionaire who has contributed to this campaign. Sad for them. At this point in 2015, we had raised less and had fewer donations. We are outpacing the 2015 campaign, again, all due to you. The most popular profession that has donated to this campaign, teachers. The most common employers and employees of employers who have donated to this campaign, Starbucks, Amazon, Walmart workers. It is truly a campaign built by the working class of America. We have proved that you don't have to bow at the altar of the rich to run for president, that if you fight for working class people, they will step up and fight for you. And we have truly, together, Bernie Sanders leading a movement, you, with your full support of it, have changed and altered the landscape of American politics, I think, forever. And you see already how the DNC and other campaigns are responding by trying to prove that they have some degree of a grassroots support, and it is because they are trying their best to catch up. So, I mean, obviously we have had a campaign that has held zero high-dollar closed-door fundraiser dinners. There's other campaigns that, of course, they go and reach out to the millionaire and billionaire class, and they try to, eat at fancy fundraising dinners where you get served, langoustine on a stick or something. That's not this campaign. We have we believe strongly that in order to change a corrupt political and economic system, you do not take its corrupt money. I also think it's really important for you to know and understand that the organizing base, the volunteer base of this campaign is incredible. We have churned out already 3.3 million phone calls, 3.3 million phone calls and millions of text messages, over 10 million voter contact attempts because of the incredible volunteer base of this campaign. As a result of the funding that you have delivered to this campaign, we are now in a position to spend money wisely, strategically. It's important, I think, from my perspective, that we are caretakers of that money, and we do not spend it stupidly. We have asked you, I've sent out emails and text messages asking you how you'd like to see us spend our donations, and I was sincerely interested in the input that you would have for us. And when we sent out those requests and asked you what would you like to see us spend money on, the top vote getter was television ads. We received tens of thousands of responses saying television ads. And I think there's a reason for that, because you know that is how you reach some of the greatest numbers of people. It is one of the ways in which you persuade a number of people about who Bernie Sanders is. And I'm proud to say that today we launched our first television ad of the campaign, spending $1.3 million on an ad buy in Iowa. We'll be up on air aggressively over the next couple of weeks leading into the debate on October 15th. So we wanted to make sure that people in this crowded news environment where there's a lot going on, there's impeachment talk, there's cable news coverage covering all kinds of other stuff, we wanted to make sure Bernie Sanders' message was heard loud and clear in the state of Iowa. I hope all of you have taken an opportunity to watch and to listen to that ad. I think it ends with a pretty powerful statement that we know Bernie Sanders as president can be trusted to fight for us because he always has, which is just the truth. We also, in addition to running these TV ads, when we asked you what else you'd like to see us fund, the second choice was expanding our state operations. And we are following up on that and making sure we're making those commitments. So we are not only aggressively building up our Iowa team, our New Hampshire team, our Nevada team, our South Carolina team, the first 4 states, we are also, I think, more aggressively than any other campaign right now, putting staff into the states of California. There's no doubt in my mind we have the largest number of state staff in California, which is a Super Tuesday state on March 3rd. They'll be voting shortly after Iowans start voting. They'll have early vote in that state, so it's really critical that California, with its large number of delegates at play, is tended to by our campaign, and we do have a large number of very talented people in California. We are also putting people into other March 3rd states like Massachusetts, Maine, Colorado, Oklahoma, Minnesota, and elsewhere. So we are making moves to make sure that this campaign isn't just resting on early states, but is preparing to win over the course of all of the early voting states and into Super Tuesday on March 3rd and March 10th. Obviously the state of our campaign we feel is strong and getting stronger. We've got work to do because our path is the most ambitious path of any candidate out there. When you think of the constituencies that comprise our winning coalition, it will be young people who have never voted before, people under the age of 24. It will be working class people who are carrying 2 or 3 jobs at a time. It will be working class people of color, low income people of color, and it is the hardest path because these are sometimes the hardest constituencies to get out to vote. Understandably, there's other things on their mind, there's other things going on in their lives. But we have chosen this path for a reason. We believe in it strongly, that this is how you change American politics. This is how you change our American society for the better. And it is the way in which, when we win with this working class coalition, we create the mandate for getting action for the working class of America. I want to ask and convey one important thing that I think many people ask me, what is the most important thing I can do? Well, one of the most important things you can do for this campaign is make calls into voters in those early states. Having those conversations with voters in Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Nevada is critical. And we know that person-to-person contact from somebody who is passionate about Bernie Sanders can be very instrumental. And we are right now in the midst of doing a major call campaign, trying to get 1 million calls done this week. We're on day 5. We've reached halfway through. So if you can help us, please go to berniesanders.com/call, berniesanders.com/call, and we'll try to make your life easy, connect you right in, and have you calling voters in early states. And as you have those conversations, I would be remiss if I did not offer some of the thoughts about how we can get Bernie Sanders elected. What are some of the messages that at least I'm using, and I'd give you, I just want to share with you, and obviously would appreciate your feedback. So why Bernie, right? Let's take a moment to discuss why Bernie. Well, I think at the end of the day, voters are going to make determinations about who to vote for by asking themselves two questions. Who's the candidate best positioned to defeat Donald Trump, right? That's question number one. Question number two is, who is the candidate I most trust to make the change happen that I desperately seek? And the combination of those two questions, like in those two circles, creating a Venn diagram and ordering the candidates on which candidate can best defeat Donald Trump and which candidate do I most trust, that is the crux of our argument. When we order that, we believe Bernie Sanders is solidly the number one candidate, and I want to take a moment to explain why. So let's take question number one. Why is he the best candidate to defeat Donald Trump? Well, obviously in the polls, head-to-head against Donald Trump, he is doing quite well, not only nationally, but in the early states in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. This is a campaign that doesn't tends to discount a lot of polling, and so I don't rest a lot on it, but I do mention it, and I say it for one reason, because when you look at some of the polls, particularly the ones that note that Bernie Sanders does well as compared to Joe Biden, and they often do well against Donald Trump in a lot of these head-to-head states, think about the fact that the poll numbers on Bernie are ones that we should put a lot of stock into for one reason. One, everyone knows who Bernie Sanders is. He had 99% name ID. And if you ask people around the country, what's one thing you know about Bernie Sanders, they're often going to tell you Medicare for all or taking on the elite special interests in this country, right? So in other words, the numbers of support for Bernie Sanders are built on a spine. That spine is built on Medicare for all, taking on the corporate class and the billionaire class. The other candidate, Joe Biden, what is his argument resting on, right? And when you go around, you ask people, what is one thing you know about Joe Biden? Well, the answer you often get back is, well, he was the vice president to Barack Obama, which means it's not built on much of a spine, right? And I think as his record gets more exposed, and he's been favoring trade deals that have hurt the working class, has been supporting the Iraq War, telling a story and a mythology of how he opposed the Iraq War, how he's been fundraising at the altar of the rich. I think it is going to be very hard for him to go up against Donald Trump. And so when you look at those head-to-head numbers, I think we've got a candidate who's building upon a spine of deep support, and people know who he is and they know what they like about him. I would also say there's proof in the pudding when you talk about beating Donald Trump. This is the only campaign that has more individual donations than Donald Trump's campaign, right? Donald Trump is out there. He's got a movement of his own. And there's only one campaign out there who's got more individual donations, contributions than his campaign. It happens to be the campaign that has the most in American political history, and that is this campaign, Bernie 2020. And the last thing I think I'd say about beating Donald Trump is that we have to reckon with how Trump won. And he was a racist and a misogynist and a homophobe. He campaigned that way in 2015 and 2016. Unfortunately, he won the White House. He will most certainly campaign that way again. But we have to think about the fact that he sold a pack of lies to the working class of America and said, I will stand up to the billionaire class. I am a billionaire. I can't be bought. I will drain the swamp. I will take on pharmaceutical companies. I will cut fair trade deals. You can trust me to fight for you. We are going to need a candidate who has the credibility to call him on his lies, who will convincingly and persuasively tell the American public that he betrayed the working class by stacking his government full of billionaires and delivering a tax cut for the rich, a corporate tax cut for the wealthiest in our society. And we're going to have to call him on it every single day, and Bernie Sanders is that person who can credibly make that argument. So that's my answer on why he's the best position to beat Donald Trump. Let me just take a moment on why he's the candidate you can trust. And obviously you all know this, lifetime of consistency. And I'm sure Senator Turner will mention it. She says it often. He's got the receipts. It's been a lifetime of consistency. And when you think about the political philosophy of Bernie Sanders, why you trust him, he has been fighting to bring power to the powerless. Right? He's attempting to smash the power structure of America. And why? I mean, think about that as a political philosophy, trying to deliver power to those who deserve it and need it. The working class of America. How does he do that? Well, that's why he calls for doubling the unionized workforce in America in his first term as president. That's why he calls for raising the minimum wage to a living wage. That's why he calls for a wealth tax and a CEO tax so that he can help deliver affordable housing units all across this country, so that we can deliver higher pay for teachers, so that we can deliver higher pay for child care workers. Right? That is a vision of bringing power to the powerless. Another core philosophy of Bernie Sanders is a principle of universality, right? That we are all in this together, that our society benefits when we rise together, we individually rise, and we rise when we understand we are all in one interwoven fabric. And that governs how he thinks about delivering power to those who need it most. So that is tuition-free public college for all, canceling student debt for all, canceling past due medical debt for all, putting in place rent control throughout America, Medicare for all, right? That is a core philosophy of Bernie Sanders, that we are all in this together. That is why the coalition that we are building to win this campaign is so critical. And of course, the last thing I'd say about his philosophy is he's a go big or go home type of candidate, right? And thinks big, thinks boldly. That's why, status quo politics and centrism has never been something he has really much patience for. And that is why his climate plan, quite frankly, is the biggest. The biggest is the best in that case. The alternative is a planet that is facing ruin and catastrophe. And so we're proud to have the biggest and the boldest climate plan, and would believe that that's the only way to go, quite frankly. So I'll close with this and turn it over to Senator Turner. We're in the home stretch, everybody. We're in the fourth quarter. My four fingers are up in the air. We got to win the fourth quarter. All the work that we have done up until this point to put our policy out there, to put our organizing teams in place, to rally our volunteers, to put digital videos and digital content out there, to build our state operations, to communicate with the public. It all comes down to this. We have positioned ourselves to win this fourth quarter. In order to win this fourth quarter, we need you. We need to win Iowa, then we'll win New Hampshire, we'll win Nevada, we'll be on our way. There's a path to victory. It requires your efforts. I want to thank you for everything you've done to put us in this position to win. With that, I want to turn it over to my partner, Senator Nina Turner.
Thank you, Faiz, so very much. Our campaign manager laid out for you, and I say our, meaning you as well, not just those of us who are working on this campaign, but those of you who are investing your time, your money, your sweat equity into this campaign in the volunteer mode. You are the people who count the most, because you are really the wind beneath the senator's wings, and that really is what Faiz is laying out. That people power, conscious-minded people power cannot be stopped. And you're showing that time and time again. Our last quarter fundraising, as Faiz has laid out, is just yet another example of the people power and the vision that the people of this country have in terms of investing in this campaign. You really are the only special interest. You and millions of your closest friends are the only special interest that Senator Bernard Sanders has the answer to, and that is something quite powerful. As Faiz laid out, we don't have to lay at the altar of the ultra wealthy in this country to beg them to fund this campaign, because it is being funded by you. And because of that, the senator and this campaign has the type of autonomy necessary to take on the special interests of this campaign. Senator Sanders has been challenging us to live and to think and to dream bigger dreams for a very long time. But when he had the courage, sisters and brothers, to step on that national stage in 2015 and into that race going into 2016, all of the dynamics changed, and it changed because his message that he has been preaching generation after generation, decade after decade, finally found itself on a national platform, and it gave us the ability to say, wait a minute, you know what, Senator Sanders is right. This system is rigged, and it is rigged against the workaday people of this nation in ways that can be changed, that should be changed, and that we no longer have to accept the status quo. That is what this campaign is all about. And yes, we got the receipts, baby. And we love, roll the tape, roll all the tapes, because Senator Bernard Sanders, somewhere where there is an injustice, he is somewhere speaking out against that injustice. And not only speaking out against that injustice, he is standing side by side with the working class people of this nation time after time. Those of you know he never stopped. Even when he didn't get the nomination in 2016, he continued to press forward towards that prize. And that pride is shaking asunder the very foundations of this nation that skew all of the power towards the ultra-wealthy and tell the rest of us that we don't deserve to live a good life. What encapsulates the senator's campaign, our campaign, because, you know, he always talks about when we get to the White House, 99.9% of the time, you will hear the senator say those words when we get to the White House, because he is our candidate. He is your candidate. That White House is your White House, and you deserve to have a representative there that will give everything he has to make sure that we shake up this system so that your children, if you have them, your neighbors' children, future generations, and even you deserve to live a good life in this country. So all of it, whether it's Medicare for all, education for all, taking away, canceling college debt, you name it, taking care of Mother Earth, this is really about freedom for all. So when you think about our campaign, I want you to think about the umbrella of freedom for all. Healthcare in this country, Medicare for all, is about freedom for all. Canceling student debt is about freedom for all. Making sure that we can educate our children is about freedom for all. Ensuring that people have a roof over their head is about freedom for all. That is what this is about. The senator, this campaign is about what Congresswoman Barbara Jordan once said. What the people want is very simple. They want an America as good as its promise. And that is what we are fighting for on a daily basis. And everything that you have done up to this point has gotten us where we are, but we got to go further and we got to go there faster. And that is why we need you to call your closest neighbors and friends throughout this country, but particularly in the early states, because we must make sure that we win those states. Now, we are making a huge phone banking push to reach voters in those early states and in the caucus states. And as Faiz has laid out, the ambitious goal that we have is about 1 million calls in just 10 days. So far, we've made over 500,000 calls, and we have just 6 days left, including today, to reach our goal by October 6th. And that is where you come in. So you can go to BernieSanders.com/call and sign up to help us make those calls. You are the voices because you can speak from the heart. See, we don't get to people from the head. We got to touch their hearts first. And from their heart, then it goes to their head. And nobody can do that better than the volunteers that are on this call to talk to people about why you support this campaign and why you believe that Senator Bernard Sanders is the one to deliver for this nation for a time such as this, for people like us and others. And we are standing, sisters and brothers, in the ready position for all of our sisters and brothers across this country to help to elect a candidate who, again, the only special interest he has is you, people like you on this phone and the people that you represent. You know, President Teddy Roosevelt once said that far and away the best prize that life has to offer is the chance to work hard at a work worth doing. And we want you to know that we appreciate all the work that you have done until this point, but everything that we do now through next year is a work worth doing. You may be on this call because the environment is number one for you. That is a work worth doing. You may be on this call because making sure that we have a system of health care that is not commodified, that puts the people first and your health first is a work worth doing. Canceling student debt is a work worth doing. Standing up to big money special interests and not letting them dominate is a work worth doing. And standing up proudly and boldly to say that I
as well as future generations deserve to live a good life, and you don't have to be ultra wealthy in this country to be able to live a good life, is the work worth doing. And when the history is written about what we did to make our nation one community at a time, and by extension this world a better place, we all will be written into that history, that we didn't stand on the sidelines, that we stood beside, in front, and behind a leader that had the courage to take it to the system. And that leader is Senator Bernard Sanders. He is our conduit, but he understands very clearly that he can't do any of these things without having that political revolution. And baby, you are that political revolution. This is indeed a work worth doing. So again, we need you to be involved over the next 6 days to make those calls to help us reach that goal. We have reached many milestones because of you, and we can reach this one. Please go to berniesanders.com/call. We are going to continue to do this work worth doing and push the Freedom for All platform of Senator Sanders that encapsulates all of the things that we've been talking about tonight and throughout this campaign. Senator Bernie Sanders is a fighter, but he is not fighting alone, and we have proven that. As our manager has said, some of these folks want to write off this campaign, but we will not be denied. A conscious-minded people on the move cannot be defeated, and we are those people. Let's continue doing the work worth doing.